When it comes to changing behavior, using a neuroscientific approach is really the only way to know that you are going to have a targeted, accurate, effective, and long lasting change to behavior. So, how can understanding the neural mechanisms be used to facilitate that behavior change? Well, it comes down to being able to really leverage the principles of neuroplasticity, reward systems, and also cognitive control. And when we target specific brain processes, this is when we can design interventions that promote sustainable long-term behavior change. And I'm going to share with you now some evidence-based approaches so that you can utilize some neuroscientific knowledge so that you can actually go and facilitate some of that change as well. The first thing is harnessing neuroplasticity. So this is the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself in response to experiences and learning. And you can leverage neuroplasticity by designing interventions that promote the formation of new neural connections and the weakening of old ones. And how do we do that? Through repeated, deliberate practice, focused attention, and engaging in targeted activities that reinforce desired behaviors by focusing on specific brain regions. And by capitalizing on neuroplasticity, this is how we facilitate the rewiring of neural networks that underlie specific behaviors, where we delete what we don't want and put in what we do want. The second thing is reward-based learning. So the brain's reward system, it plays a critical role in motivating and reinforcing behavior. So you can use reward-based learning to facilitate behavior change. First, we need to identify and provide rewards or incentives, and that's going to activate the brain's mesolimbic dopamine system, and that reinforces desired behaviors. So this can include tangible rewards, social recognition, or even intrinsic rewards, such as a sense of accomplishment. And really, it comes down to one of four characters. We say, let your people soar. They either want safety, they want opportunities, they want autonomy, or they want rewards. It's going to fit into one of those four things. And when we align the desired behavior with positive rewards that they're actually interested in, that strengthens neural connections that are associated with the behavior. And when we strengthen the neural connections, it makes us more likely to use that pathway, which means that we're more likely to repeat that behavior over and over again. The next one is cognitive control and self-regulation. So behavior change often requires overcoming automatic and ingrained patterns of behavior. So we can help individuals to develop cognitive control skills to regulate impulsive behaviors and to make intentional choices aligned with their goals. And intentional choices are informed choices as well. So techniques like cognitive reappraisal or response inhibition or even mindfulness can enhance prefrontal cortex activity, and that supports self-regulation and decision-making processes. So by promoting cognitive control, this is how we can facilitate the suppression of unwanted behavior and the activation of desired behavioral responses that we want. Another thing that we can do is environmental modification. So the brain is highly influenced by environmental cues. So we can help people to modify their environment to create cues that prompt and support desired behaviors while reducing the cues that are associated with undesired behaviors. And this can involve restructuring physical spaces, establishing reminders, or utilizing technology to create visual or auditory cues that trigger the desired behaviors. It's kind of like they used to tell you to put a mirror on the fridge if you wanted to stop dieting, if you wanted to stop eating as much. And it's kind of like that. We've got this visual cue that we're always walking to the fridge and we go, oh, I'm back at the fridge. Because you may not be hungry, you're just in this pattern. You know, at 3 o'clock, you go and have a snack. You know, just after bed, after dinner, right before bedtime, you're going to have a little snack. And it's just a pattern. It's just a behavior that we're in and we don't want it. So we need to do things that will give us cues to trigger the desired behavior. I don't want to have that snack. Oh, there's a trigger and it triggers that desired behavior. So modifying the environment facilitates the activation of neural circuits that are linked to that desired behavior. So it starts to activate the things that we want to do, and it weakens the things that we don't want to do. So we're reducing the activation of circuits that are associated with undesired behaviors, and that's really what we want to do, because then it's going to get weaker and weaker and weaker, and eventually it's never going to go away, but we're not going to be using it really at all. And then the last thing is mindset and belief system. So look, the power of beliefs and mindset in behavior change, don't underestimate this. This is a area where we still are doing a lot of discovery. There's a really fascinating area of science called noetic sciences at the moment, and it plays a lot in beliefs and mindset and the power of thought and how it can actually change things without physically touching or interacting. And it's kind of scary, some of the stuff that's coming through that. And so while we don't understand a lot of it, you've got to remember a lot of what we deal with now, we never used to understand at all. So we can help individuals cultivate a growth mindset. We can emphasize the belief in their belief in their ability to change and improve, because remember, we're changing all the time anyway. So by reframing challenges as opportunities for growth, this activates brain regions that are associated with learning and motivation, and that facilitates behavior change as well. Now, you can also take it a step further, and you can not just tell them what they need to do, but show them how they can figure it out for themselves. Help them to identify and challenge their own limiting beliefs on their own. Because these pop up all the time. You're not with your clients all the time. And these limiting beliefs, they hinder progress. So we want to get rid of them. So show them how to identify and show them how to challenge them on their own, so that they can promote their own neural plasticity and they can change their own behavior and they can adapt their own behavior. So when it comes to neuroscientific approaches for behavior change, understand those neural mechanisms and then go and put them into play, because it allows us that much more targeted approach. We need to accept that individual differences exist, and personalized approaches are crucial for effective long-term behavior change. So consider every circumstances, every individual as unique, consider their motivations as unique, consider their goals as unique, and think of everybody as their own situation when we're trying to apply these neuroscientific approaches. And when we integrate them, we're going to be more effective, more accurate. Everybody wins. Bye now.